llegado. La isla, esta era una cárcel. Vamos a ver ahorita cómo se miran. Vamos a ver. Ok, mis amigos, pues aquí vamos subiendo. Esta era parte de la cárcel. Estos son los carros que usaban en ese tiempo. Pueden ver qué chulada. Pues aquí hay unas personas que no quieren caminar, la llevan para arriba. Este camión era del Army antes. Era un camión de carro del Army este, mire. En este tiempo, miren este troque. Se puede ver, no se mira. No me deja verlo. Sí. Estos eran los cañones. En realidad los de antes. Esta cosa era como el juzgado de ellos. 1934, 1963. Podemos ver, y la clase de hierro que ocupaban. Cómo era torcido esta barra. No sé qué año aquí en San Francisco ocurrió un temblor muy grandísimo. Entonces se destruyó muchas cosas. Pero pueden ver cómo hacían los cimientos. Esta es pura piedra calada. Estas son las torres que tenían. Miren, en aquel tiempo, en el año 34, esta gente ya tenía las plantas de electricidad. Acá podían ver que lo tenían con diésel. Con diésel funcionaba estos generadores para tener electricidad aquí. Esta era la planta. Pueden ver. Para poderle dar electricidad a todo este lugar. Podemos ver cómo esas grandes bombas que tenían ahí, esto para sostener el agua. Podemos ver.
This is a good example. The Army always wanted to reform prisoners and send them back to their original unit. Toward that end, they had a schoolhouse. They taught them how to do bookkeeping. Some prisoners didn't know how to read and write. They learned on the island. They had a library full of instructional books next to the schoolhouse. About 70% of the Army prisoners went back to their original unit. That's considered a very good number. When this became a federal prison for the most dangerous people in America, all that went away. In general, prisoners were not allowed on this side of the island. We didn't need a schoolhouse, so it became living quarters for guards. We had a library in the cell house. They took the books out of this one, and they made it a shooting range where the guards could practice shooting their rifles and pistols. That's reform versus control. Truck coming down the road, please move out of the way. Here is what used to be the warden's residence. That was a 22-room mansion that burnt down in 1970. This building in front of us is actually the top 3 floors of the building you saw at the dock with the Indian writing on it. These floors were guards' apartments built in 1900. We also had 3 large apartment buildings on the flat parade ground. However, after the native occupation ended, the government came out and tore those buildings down. They didn't want anyone living on the island. We have no one living on the island today. we have 24-hour guards instead. During the prison era, the guards wanted to live on the island because it was cheap and the prisoners did your laundry. We actually have a kid's book called Al Capone Does My Sheets, or Does My Shirts, based on the fact that he worked in the laundry when he was here. Single guards did not want to live on the island. Desert island with the cell house on it isn't a good spot to pick up women. So guards would live in San Francisco and they'd commute over by boat to do their shift, but it was a lot more expensive to live in San Francisco. Rent here on the island was about $35 a month, including laundry. In the city, you might pay over $100 a month. And who could imagine paying $100 a month? That's a crazy number, right? Wow. This tree. Those are originally from Australia. That one came here as a clipping about this big in 1924. And the answer is, in general, the sharks in the bay have very small mouths. They're nurse sharks and leopard sharks. However, in 2015, the boat was unloading at the dock, and the aft camera caught a great white shark killing a seal 10 feet away from the dock. If you go on out on YouTube and look for Alcatraz shark attack, you'll be impressed. You usually don't see great whites in this far because they hate the taste of the mix of river water and ocean water. I say it's like sharks don't eat clowns because they taste funny. Same sort of thing. The guards used to play tricks on the prisoners. They'd say, we caught a great white and we cut off one fin, and now we can only swim around the island. They were trying to convince the prisoners not to swim. When you're going to fill this prison with the most dangerous criminals in America, you don't want them to escape. You don't want them to escape on the way here, and you don't want their friends to know because they belong to big criminal gangs, and somebody would have tried to stop the train and break them out. Back then, everybody traveled by train, so they built special train cars, steel bars on the windows, a gun cage at each end where a guard could stand with a pistol, and locks on all the seats. They could lock the prisoners down. When they took them across country, they didn't tell anybody when they were leaving. They just pulled 3 cars into Atlanta Federal Prison, woke up 53 prisoners, including Al Capone, marched them on the train, and started across country. The press knew that Alcatraz was going to be filled, and they saw these train cars, and they said, they're coming to Alcatraz. They've got steel bars on the windows. They don't stop in a normal train yard. Every time they stop, there's 100 guards around the train. So the press was over in Oakland at the main rail yard, waiting for the train to arrive. The Bureau of Prisons didn't want that. They took the train around the North Bay to a little town called Tiburon, where there was a dock with a rail on it. They pushed the rail cars onto a barge and then pushed the barge over here. What that means is Al Capone did not touch ground between Atlanta Federal Prison and the dock at Alcatraz. When they got here, they unlocked the seats and marched the prisoners up this same road to the same shower where we are going. They did not get an audio tour. They got a shower, clothing, and a new cell, and then the warden sent a telegram to Washington, D.C. that said 53 packages of furniture arrived, no damage. They did the same thing for Leavenworth Prison in Kansas and McNeil Island Prison in Washington State. When this place was full, we averaged about 275 prisoners. Not that many overall, but these were the most dangerous. These were the disruptives. These were the guys who tried to escape. These were the guys who tried to kill a guard. These were the guys who tried to start riots. In general, you came to Alcatraz because you misbehaved in another prison. The phrase was, break the rules, go to prison. Break the rules in prison, go to Alcatraz. In order to control the dangerous criminals here, we had a very high ratio of guard to prisoner. We had 1 guard for every 3 prisoners. Now, I've talked to a modern correctional officer, and she said in a modern electronically controlled prison, the secure area, they had 1 guard for every 250 prisoners. So 1 to 3 is tight, tight, tight. It did not stop the escape attempts. We had 14 escape attempts in 29 years. The 14 escape attempts involved 36 men. 23 were recaptured. 6 were shot and killed, 2 drowned, and 5 were listed as missing and presumed drowned. That included 2 men who in 1937 broke out of a building on the far north end of the island called the Model Industries Building. They broke windows, bars, and a fence, and in heavy fog got down to the water and almost immediately drowned. Because of the fog, the guards didn't see what happened, only other prisoners. Prisoners do not talk to guards. Snitches get stitches. So the guards had to keep searching for these men for a couple of years, even though the prisoners knew they drowned immediately. The other 3 unaccounted for are the basis for the movie Escape from Alcatraz. You'll see their actual cells in the cell house as part of the audio tour. In 1962, a year before the prison closed, 4 prisoners figured out a way to carve out the backs of their cells so they could go into a utility corridor. They hid what they'd done with artboard painted to resemble the cell wall. Once inside the utility corridor, they used pipes and boards to climb above the 3rd floor, and they found a flat place they could build things. They built fake heads for the cells. They would take a sheet, tape, and paper mache and build a head-shaped object. One fellow worked in the barber shop, so they had all the hair they needed to build a wig. Another fellow had a paint set, so he painted the heads to be flesh-colored. They would store these heads above the 3rd floor and at night bring them into their cells, put them in the bed with a couple of blankets under the sheets so it looked like a body, and a guard walking by in the dark never saw anything unusual. Once they had the heads built, they built a raft out of stolen raincoats. They stole 50 rubberized cotton raincoats. They would cut them into rectangles and sew them into a tube, glue the seam, and then hold it up to an uninsulated steam pipe to melt the glue and make the tube airtight. They made homemade paddles out of scrap lumber and any fasteners they could steal. One fellow ordered a concertina. You were allowed to order musical instruments back then. You take a concertina and you take the reeds out, now you have a bellows to inflate a raft. The night they escaped, they left their heads in the cells. I love that line. Leave your head in your cell. They'd been working on an air vent cover on that end of the building. They broke the air vent cover off and pushed it to the roof, pushed up the raft, the paddle, the concertina, dragged it all down here. Behind this tree, there's a stairwell today. There used to be a bakery pipe. They climbed down the bakery pipe over this tall fence, over another tall fence, down to the water near the white building, inflated the raft, and disappeared. We never saw them again. We never saw the raft. We never saw bodies. When this happened, you can imagine it was a huge news story. 3 of the most dangerous prisoners in America escaped from the most dangerous prison. The FBI said if you see 3 men together, report it. They probably meant if you see 3 white guys in their 30s together. What they got was every report of 3 men anywhere in America. So you and you and you, Anglin brothers and Frank Morris. No, you 3, definitely Anglin brothers and Frank Morris. I think I see a couple of Anglin brothers over there. The FBI file is this thick with sightings, and they're all stupid. They don't come close to resembling the real people. So what do we think happened? We've done current studies for that night in 1962. We know how long it would take them. They turn off the lights at 9:30. How long does it take to go up to the roof, drag something over here, down over 2 fences, down to the water, and inflate a raft? At the time they got into the water, they were going to Angel Island. There was a 7-knot current between here and Angel Island. It was flowing around Alcatraz, through the Golden Gate, and out to the ocean. An Olympic swimmer is 4 knots. So when I say a 7-knot current, that means somebody who is almost as fast as an Olympic swimmer is going to be caught by a double their speed current. These guys were not swimmers. They were in cell house. Going around the corner and out, you were caught. A raincoat raft is not an ocean-going vessel. And just to make your night extra special, just outside the Golden Gate is the largest collection of great white sharks in North America. So it's very easy to suspect that somebody had a good dinner. We have no proof. We never saw them again. There have been claims over the years. They've been allegedly spotted in Brazil, in Alabama, various places. None of those can be verified. The best we could say today is if you know someone named Frank, John, or Clarence, and they're in their 90s, ask if they've ever been to San Francisco. Which is low-grade diesel to power the electrical generator for the island. We also had an incinerator for trash. We burned trash. If it didn't burn, throw it in the ocean. The ocean will carry it away. Sewage was equally disappointing. It was just a pipe to the water. Today, we have solar panels on top of the cell house. They run to a building next to the smokestack. We're one of the largest microgrids in the U.S. We still have to bring water on by boat and take sewage off by boat. We have a special boat called the Solitary, which does that. And don't worry, it has 2 tanks, 2 hoses, and 1 guy who knows which one's which. The writing on the water tower, like the writing at the dock and at several other places on the island, was done during the Native occupation in 1969. By the 50th anniversary in 2019, that had badly faded. So the National Park Service invited back the original occupiers and their descendants to carefully repaint exactly what was there. Now, if you painted that in 1969 at the age of 20, you were 70 when it came time to repaint it. So to no one's surprise, most of the people up there repainting were descendants of the original occupiers. I do know at least one original occupier was up there because I've talked to him. His name is Eloy Martinez. He lives in the East Bay. And I asked him, Eloy, how'd you get up there? He goes, oh, it was so easy this time. I had a climbing harness. He then pointed out the line, peace and freedom welcome is above a person's reach. And I said, how'd you do that? And he said, you get down on your hands and knees and I'll stand on your back and paint 50 feet in the air.
Oh, wow.
It's an important part of the history of Alcatraz. That's why the Park Service wanted it restored. It's an important part of the American Indian movement. That's why they wanted it restored. I don't care. I'm not going up there to check their work. I think they did a great job. This was only used as a morgue one time in the military era. In the federal era, if somebody died for any reason, they took the body to the dock and a boat would take it to the coroner. So the federal prison put in 3 large backup power generator motors because you don't want to lose power to your prison. If we call it the backup power generator room, nobody will come look at it. But if we call it the morgue, here we go, a big crowd of people looking at the morgue. Marketing, right?
Absolutely.
Half paddle and concertina over this fence and another fence just as tall to get down to the water. They wanted out. This is the end of my part of the talk. You're going to go in here and pick up the audio guide. It's part of your ticket, so make sure you take advantage of it. It's available in 11 languages. When you go inside, go to the 2nd floor and start the tour there. Okay? Thank you for coming to the island. Wander the rest of the island. It's very pretty. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Esto aquí, no sé qué sea. Aquí las enfermerías. Esta manera como ellos se bañaban acá. No te vayas, espérame. Así como vivía esta gente antes. Pues eran sus baños. Eran las oficinas. Aquí le dan a uno como unos audífonos. Se los dan a la idioma de uno en español y todo, no sé qué signifique esto.
correccional en Alcatraz y el día de hoy seré su guía.
Donde ellos Ajá. Y ellos le agarraban de aquí. Ajá.
Sí, ma stavano loro, perché ora fuori di loro,
Bueno. Aquí, aquí salían a jugar, los sacaban a jugar, aunque hubiera frío, ¿no? Es el único lugar donde podían venir a jugar.
These are a bit bigger.
Era una celda exclusiva, era un poquito más grande, tenían 2 metros de alto, 2 metros y medio de fondo. Tenían un bonito baño, un bonito retrete, pero era más alto, más alto.
Fíjate que unos tenían cama y otros nada más tenían el...
Estos los que tenían privilegio, se portaban bien, les prestaban.
Ahí está.
Si tenían privilegios, podían leer, tomaban cursos algunos. Sobre cría de animales agarran cursos.
Sí.
De esa clase de cigarros les daban. Fumaran o no fumaran, recibían una cajetilla de cigarros.
Sí. Este jugaba dominó, mira.
Algunos algunos los dejaban que pintaran para que escaparan de su realidad. Mm. Aquí es cuando, como podían hablar con los otros de otro lado. Sí.
La visitación.
Por aquí es donde venía la gente. La visita.
I think they used to receive mail. That's how they get the mail.
Dice que algunos se sorprendían. Miren qué tan grueso es.
Ay, eso no meten la mano aquí, yo les agarré.
Oye. Ya.
Derecho para allá.
Esta viene en la prisión 7. Esto abría la puerta. Esta es una copia. Vamos a ver la copia esta entonces. Dejar la llave. Pero cuesta $13. Ese es el precio que tiene. Podemos ver las réplicas que tienen de los de antes. Las cucharas, los tenedores, la taza, el salero. Entonces podemos ver réplicas que vienen siendo casi los mismos latones, pero es la misma cosa. Y este también. Es lo mismo, cuesta $13 cada cosa. Cada cosa. El salero. Es not bad, el salero se mira bien. Llevar un recuerdo, ¿verdad? Vamos a ver si está bueno para tirar sal. Pues no se antoja nada comprar nada de aquí. En realidad no. Salimos. Salimos de acá. Así fue como se escaparon de aquí. Allá está un hoyo. Ahí están las cucharas. Con unas cucharas hicieron unos pinceles y lograron hacer hoyo ahí. Y se escaparon y figuraron que estaba durmiendo. Que estaban durmiendo, pero no. No había nadie en realidad.
¿Y dónde se bañaba?
Allá están los cuentos.
Una vez por semana lo sacaban a bañar.
Esta es una prisión donde se escapó uno de los prisioneros. Ahí está el hoyo, están las cucharas y todo. Y figuraron con pelo que se quedaban dormidos y no estaba nadie ahí.
¿No te imaginas cómo hicieron ese hoyo? ¿A dónde se comunicaba el hoyo este?
Con cucharas y se escaparon, se fueron, brincaron todo para allá. Así que aquí vamos a dejar este video de Alcatraz. Espero les guste. No pude hablar porque cada persona que anda oyendo la historia de cómo fue la cosa aquí en el Alcatraz y prefieren que uno no hable, que cada quien ande oyendo la historia, ¿ok? Entonces, pero así fue como pasó esta gente, la prisión en Alcatraz. Hay mucha historia, hay mucho que hablar, pero no hay como, en realidad no hay como escuchar y venir a ver la historia en realidad cómo fue que vivió esta gente. Porque nosotros no podemos contarle exactamente lo que esta gente sufrió. Pero sí, vivía en su propio mundo. Se lo imaginaban cómo vivía. Aquí está el otro compañero que se escapó. Se escapó aquel. Este. Y uno de estos. Sí, estos dos. Este es el hoyo, lo podemos ver, se escapó. Y el otro fueron 3 compañeros que se escaparon. No sé cuál fue el otro que se escapó. El asunto que fueron 3 que se escaparon y pudieron burlar las leyes. Nunca jamás el FBI pudo darse cuenta cómo fue ni cómo, a dónde llegaron, qué destino tuvieron. Se escaparon varios, pero algunos los mataron, pero 3 se lograron escapar. Ok. Nos vemos en otro video. Seguimos por acá por San Francisco en las aventuras por este fin de semana. Bye bye.